Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Hypnosis Everywhere today. And I have two wonderful gentlemen with me today, both Simpson protocol trainers, but we're talking about the general uh, hypnosis field today, mostly. And I'm going to introduce you first to Tim Horn, and he's in Virginia in the United States. And there's Greg Beckett, and he is on the West Coast in LA. So they've got everything covered, and they're doing a lot of things. And I thought I just get each one to talk a little bit about their background, just a little short bio. So, Tim, do you want to start, please?
Certainly. I've been a hypnotist for 28 years. I've also been a public school teacher for over 20 years. I just retired from teaching. I first got into hypnosis when I was having difficulty with panic attacks. I woke up one day, I was a lot younger, a lot thinner then, and I felt like I was having a heart attack. And I'd go to the hospital and they'd say, your heart's in great condition, we don't know what's going on. I was having panic attacks. So I took a self-hypnosis class, and within a month, they were gone. And being somebody who really loves to learn, I began to realize how powerful the subconscious mind was and wanted to learn how to use that more. So I became a hypnotist and eventually a certified instructor of hypnosis. And I just keep going out, learning more things, expanding my business so I can help the clients I have.
Great. Okay, Greg, how about you?
Yes, I'm in Los Angeles, Hollywood specifically, about a mile from the Walk of Fame. I've been a hypnotist part-time and full-time about 23 years. Worked in advertising, that sort of thing. I went to my first hypnotist because I was stuck. And I did a few sessions with her and suddenly I was unstuck. And interesting enough is I'm board certified through the NGH and also a Simpson protocol trainer in the US, as Inez mentioned. But I also have a show, I'm a host of a show called Time to Get Unstuck on the Hypno 24/7 Live Network. So, and we talk about different words and things to help people move forward. And then I have my practice and I'm a trainer, all that kind of stuff here in LA. And thanks for having me on the show, Inez.
And we're busy. Sounds great. I think ultimately what I'm doing on the show now, I remember I said the Hypnosis Everywhere, and that's what it's always been called. But this year's show is called To the Next Level. And the reason I did that was because we told people what hypnosis was last year, and I gave them many facets and all outlooks of hypnosis. But we're continuing to move forward because the mind's infinite. And so what we're really talking about now is where we're going forward to, how we look at it and stuff like that. And I know we've had this conversation sort of before any time, but nobody's had the privilege of listening to you guys talk about it. But so again, Tim, we talked about this earlier about how the mind is so, and you had a really good term for it, that if you start to believe you know something,
yeah,
I'll let you continue.
The first step in knowledge is saying you don't know. Because what you're doing is you're opening up yourself to take in new knowledge and accumulate it and be able to utilize it. Einstein said that imagination is more powerful than knowledge because knowledge is limited, but your imagination is not. So when you begin to realize that there are things out there that can allow you to move forward, it's an incredible power you have then to really expand. The story I like to tell is I'm a big boxing fan. There was a fighter at the turn of the 20th century named Joe Gaines who was the absolute master of defensive boxing at the turn of the 20th century, 1901, 1902. They called him the Old Master. He walked into a gym and he was watching these pure rank amateurs fighting. And somebody walked up to him and said, Old Master, why are you watching them? I mean, you're the absolute expert on this. And he said, they may do something by accident that I'll be able to use. Because he had an incredible open mind, knowledge could come to him from all different places. And that is incredible. And that's the attitude I like to keep.
Yep. Sounds good. Greg, you got anything to add to that?
What was going through my head as I was listening to that is, and what your sort of intro was about, how everybody's so unique.
Yeah.
and everybody's mind, perspective, who they are, the experiences they've had, what they came into this world with in their personalities and all of that kind of stuff, and how we can use hypnosis individually as hypnotists, because we're all unique as hypnotists, and each client or person that wants to use hypnosis is unique, and how we find the right person as a hypnotist to not change you as a person, but to show you how to change.
Yeah.
Right? We don't do anything but guide you so that you, with your own mind and your own willingness, which is one of the most important things in hypnosis, that you're willing to make that change within yourself, and we just show you how, but you still have to do it.
Yeah.
You know, so many
There's
people just
no
want
way
a
out.
pill. Yeah, they want that one quick, here's a pill and it's done, but that never really takes care of the under the surface, that our mind and our soul, or however someone wants to look at it, their being.
And there's usually side effects of the shortcut.
Yeah, and they've collected so much experience that you have to diffuse and go through those experiences or those blockages to then let it go away, to understand it. So that's all. Everybody's unique, and we're all unique to work together. So that's what I find really fascinating about our mind and what we do.
Yeah, that's why when on the last year's show, we've had so many different styles of hypnotists. And even in the same style of hypnosis, we're all unique.
Right.
Because it's and then you're usually a team, right? You and the client are a team. So you're the guide, and the poor client gets to do all the work.
I think if you're not a team, it doesn't work as well.
No, it doesn't work good.
It's all about that rapport, that they are there and say, yes, okay, I feel comfortable with you to take the journey with you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
One of my favorite quotes is from Lewis Carroll. He said, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. When the client talks to you, they explain to you exactly where they want to go. And that helps you to create a map that they may be able to follow. But they're the ones driving the car to go there.
Yeah.
I'm going to add to that if I can.
Go ahead.
Sometimes I have a client that doesn't know where they are or where they're going.
Yeah.
And we still have tools to work with them to let them find out where they are, and then choose to where they want to go based on their experiences as they move forward a little bit. There's a lot of people, and I've been included at times, that I don't know what I want. I know what I don't want, but if I switch it, then it gives me more of an idea, and I flip it. You know, if I don't want this, that means I want something else. So where do I want to go? And what you were saying is, if you're willing to question, right? If you don't think you know everything and you're willing to question, that'll take you to where you want to go.
Yeah. The unexamined life is not worth living. Yeah. Socrates said that.
I don't, but at the same time, some people don't know they're not examining.
And people don't think they make choices. Not making a choice is making a choice.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, right now there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, all over the world.
Yes.
That we don't have control over.
Yeah.
We have leaders and people in all different countries that are doing all sorts of things, but yet here we can take control, whatever that means to somebody, and make choices in our own lives.
Yeah, I think it's on your own. You're a separate unit.
Right.
And connected all at once.
And collective, right. But if we don't start as our separate unit and just say, let everybody else make the decision, and not work on ourselves, how can we add to the collective? We're adding to the collective one way or another.
Yes, very true.
Whether it's saying yes with not doing anything, or saying, no, I'm going to grow and have myself be heard by myself or through the collective.
And sometimes people say, well, most people are scared of change. But change happens. It's the only thing that's like breathing. It happens all the time. Every second of the day, something changes. So you might as well buy into change and decide which change you like.
It finally hit me about what go with the flow means.
Yeah.
Jump into the change and just navigate.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, all the choices we make individually and all together are what creates our culture. True? So, you know, even when people say, well, I can't do anything about it, but if they're doing something here, they're doing something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're always doing something that contributes to the group, to the greater, to the society, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to think about.
Well, it's a big subject, and I think it's something that's people go, "Oh my God, isn't this just simple? You just do stuff." It would be, but it's not always so simple because the choices, like you say, we don't know what we want. We need in hypnosis, we need the person's desire to change.
Doesn't that? But Tim, would you think that jumps into personal responsibility?
Yes, but the thing I tell my clients is the most important person in your life has got to be you. You've got to absolutely start there. And if you look at it that way, everything that comes into you, you're going to try to mold, to change, to manipulate so it moves you forward. And if you take everything that way, it allows you to feel more in control of your life, realizing that you are what you said. Someone said almost indirectly that we're a closed system. We allow the things that come into us.
Yeah.
The word choice also, I thought, is very important. A lot of times what we're trying to do is remind the clients that they have the choice in their life, that they are not just the victim of circumstance, but that circumstance can be modified or changed to serve their purpose in a better way than they just want to take it in.
Or even just changing their reaction to whatever is around them.
Absolutely. Every thought causes a physical reaction within the body. So with that, your thought has energy, it has power, and when you're able to control your thoughts, you're able to control your life.
Yep. Perspective. That is the main thing we do, and sometimes we change people's perceptions, right?
Right.
We don't dictate how to change the perceptions, but we allow them to know, sense, feel, or even have it thinking about it. And some people said, well, what if I don't like change? What if I don't like it? Then change it again. It doesn't matter. You can do it in a blink of an eye. It's not that kind of thing. It just means that you are able to move into a place that's more positive.
Just because I work as a hypnotist and help people doesn't mean I always like change.
No.
Sometimes I'm afraid of that change. Sometimes I see myself procrastinating or doing whatever it is that signals to me that I'm afraid of something.
Yes.
So then I have to sit down and say to myself, whether it's through hypnosis or just talking to myself, self-talk, what is it I'm afraid of? Oh, maybe I don't like teaching something this way. Okay, so what's the solution? Write it another way that I can then explain it how it feels comfortable for me to get the correct message across. Make it my style, whatever it is, because trying to do something in a different way that's not comfortable for me was blocking me, thinking I had to do it the way it's written or whatever it is, but adding myself to it, then there's no more fear because I know how to be the best me, not be the best someone else. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me. Perfect. And I think that the most important part is we all have fear of everything or anything. They might be all different from each other, but it doesn't matter. But it's all about getting them to taking responsibility, and you have accountability to yourself to move through something. If your desire is to move forward in whatever way you do, you have to be accountable to yourself and responsible.
It's interesting. We were talking about, I forgot what the word I was going to use. Okay, so we're talking about fear and all that kind of stuff. It could be perception, right? So fear could be a great motivator.
Yeah.
Or a paralyzer.
Yeah.
Right? It's how you perceive it. This challenge. Instead, what's this challenge?
And I think in change, most of it is just being open to the possibility that it's out there and that you can attain anything.
Well, I know that Tim and I spoke a little bit about fear before, and Tim, something I've always kept with me that you said that resonated. It's not the actual action, right? It's the thought of the possibilities or something you said like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Can you say that for us, since I don't know it exactly? No, you said...
It's not the action that freezes you. It's the fear of what the destination will be.
Right. Or the thought of the possibilities that can happen, not the actual action.
That's it.
It's what you have to face after the unknown.
Yeah.
The unknown, let's talk about the word the unknown. you know? If you just talk to something about being the unknown, that automatically eliminates stability. But the unknown can be fantastic, can be phenomenal. And your perception of what could be out there is a thing that will drive you. And we do two things in life generally. We run toward what we love or what we're afraid. We run away from what we're afraid of. One is an action of love, one is an action of fear. And I want people to run toward what they want. Leave the other stuff behind.
I'm going to say something about that. When you run away from what you're afraid of, the universe keeps bringing it up so that you can prove to yourself that you can do it. So it really comes down to building confidence and courage and stuff, because most people that I have met through our work and life, those that move towards something is because they're building confidence that they can handle what the unknown is, because we always do. Yes. Every second is an unknown. Yeah. It's false thought that we know what's going to happen. We can predict and stuff, but something else always comes up. So with the whole law of attraction, which people have look at it different ways, I say what you're afraid of, the universe, God, however you want to look at it, is going to keep bringing that up because you're bringing it up. I'm afraid. Well, I want to prove to you that I am, whatever that is to you, am here to make sure that you can get through it. Sorry, I'm doing this here. Through that wall, through that fear, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
so
that's...
Even if they run away, it's still going to come. There's no avoiding it, no matter how much you avoid it.
When you face your fears, you create the resilience within you that will carry on to other
for the next unknown.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're still, when we go to the next unknown, we have the same sort of things. We're going, oh, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it. But then when you decide that, yes, this is it, I'm moving forward, and you allow it to happen, it just happens. And it becomes so easy. People say, well, what's the first time you ever talked in front of a group of people? Do you think that there was absolute confidence there? I remember that first time. I remember the first time that I could hear that little stutter in the first two sentences. And after that, I just rolled with it because I just let go.
Oh, my gosh. I was teaching a class, and I drew a total blank. You know that big fear that you have that you're going to talk, and you don't even know your own name? You don't know nothing. And then suddenly I had to say, okay, to the students, you're in my office. Why are you here? Because I knew in that context, I could talk as if they're a client, because I could talk all the time. They looked at me like, what? I said, you're in my office. Why are you here? And then they played with me. And that just broke it, and I've never had it again because I always have a solution, and I have that confidence that I can take care of myself. But I mean, it was total blank.
And on that note, and they can chuckle at us, we're going to go to break, and we'll see them on the other side. Well, welcome back to our little round table discussion here. And what I'd really like to go to now, guys, is I really want to go to, you've both been in the field for over 20 years. I want to know what kind of changes you've seen and what you've noticed is going forward, or etc. Anything like that.
Are you talking about hypnosis in general, ourselves?
Hypnosis in general first. Hypnosis in general. So, Tim, maybe you could start, because I know we talked about certain things about how things were moving always. And I think in this field, you need to keep moving.
That's it. I think the wake-up call for me was, I was trained by an incredible instructor, Bert Goldman, like 28 years ago. And it was pretty basic hypnosis. You understood how to compound different things. You understood how to help people quit smoking, become less stressed, release weight, very simple things with, direct drive, repeating things until the subconscious mind took it. And then I went to several different conventions, and I saw a lot of different methods of hypnosis. Jerry Kine, you and I both studied with Jerry, Will Horton, just a lot of different hypnotists who approach things entirely differently. And each one of them added something else. And the thing is, you'll see them make a presentation one year, and 2 or 3 years later, they've added something to it. They've begun to expand it. And the growth of hypnosis has been incredible. If you think about it, we're working in areas of hypnosis no one else thought of doing it. Because as we spoke of imagination, people's imagination gets activated, and they take all the issues that come up, find creative ways to deal with the issues their clients have. The fact is, I know Greg and I know Inez, we have clients come in who give us issues we never even thought about having before. And what we have to do is take all this knowledge we have and tailor the approach specifically to them and use their own minds to create the solutions. So the more of that you have, with more problems, we have to learn more techniques.
And I sort of love what Bob Burns always says. He says everything is real or imagined, because people say, "Oh, that can't be good," but it's all real or imagined. It's all the same thing to the mind.
Yeah. Something else Bob says, he talks about it's probably not a conscious problem; it's a subconscious problem. Yeah, I always like that. I like that too.
When I was trained, they would use a microphone, put on headphones. And it was just audio. So it wasn't, for the first few years, I didn't know anything about direct suggestion, really. I just really didn't, I wasn't taught that way. And then I went to a NGH conference, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could do all of this stuff? Let me try this and that and parts and so, and what I find fascinating is every year there's more specialties.
Yeah.
There's more people that are going in the direction of just medical and pain, other people addiction, other people children in certain specialties. Some people are and it's just exploding in that everybody's finding something that they enjoy to get really good at, and we all help each other. It's becoming more of a collective of hypnotists helping each other grow to use everything that we have to expand and in our own way of approaching things. Like with Simpson protocol, I mean, that's not what we're here to talk about, but in it, I can't help but Inez is one of my mentors, and in it we use, the subconscious, the superconscious, and allowing clients that we don't even have to know what the issue is, and they can still work on themselves. I would have never thought of that when I was starting out. I was going, put on the microphone, and there was nothing wrong. You still get results with the headphones and the mic, you still get results, but this is different. And it's almost like it's the Wild West in a way that there's almost anything is possible.
Yes, isn't that cool?
Right, and it's all about the rapport and who you're with. You're picking the hypnotist that works with you, that you feel comfortable. And if you go to somebody and you go, okay, they were nice enough, or I'm not so sure, maybe you just need to look for someone else, just like a dentist or a doctor or anybody else. There's plenty of us, and no one's, it's you have a lot of opportunity to find someone that works really well with you.
Yeah.
And so that's how it's expanded. There was a woman, I think you're going to see her, Lisa Halpin. She's been on your show and everything.
Yeah.
She says, I know I've done my job, meaning her, of training hypnotists and things, and that we as an industry or as a way of working with people have come to fruition when someone moves into a new house and they want a referral to their dentist, doctor, shoe guy, cleaners, and hypnotist.
Yeah, that's very cool. Anyway, so the other thing is that everything that we're doing today, we are thinking in a matter of going forward. We're not saying, it doesn't mean you have to not let go of everything you learned in the past. That's all part of the package. But it's now you're willing, now you're willing just to be open and Jerry Kine used to call it experimenting. We weren't experimenting on the people. What we were experimenting was how open our mind could be.
When the different processes, right?
Yeah, different things.
Because you can have someone teach you to do something a certain way, but you're going to take it and have your own interpretation anyway.
So Tim, you're going who?
Yeah, no, you absolutely have to. You have to. One of the things I always tell people is it's not the person who says something that gives it meaning. It's the person who hears it. And we talked about perspective. It's always going to be from their previous life and all the things that have created the filter around them that are going to take the words and make them special for them. I talk to people about being congruent with who they truly are, not fighting against it, and that's an important thing. And allowing the clients to do that for themselves. Not having, one of the things Greg talked about earlier is the fact that, and I think it's the point well taken. I talked about you have to know where you're going. or any road will get you there. And you said, well, if they don't know where they're going, that's true. The client has got to also have a feeling of where they could go. They've got to have that feeling, and then you move them there. I have a horse, Dutch. I have several horses, but we have a horse, Duchess, and I tell this story about trying to load her into a trailer, right?
I can imagine.
And I'm sorry, I'm a pretty strong guy. She's 1,100 pounds. She doesn't want to go. She ain't going. So what you do is you allow her to feel as if she is taking the initiative to get onto the trailer, and then you manipulate her there. Huh?
Okay, now they're going to think we manipulate them.
No.
No, I'm
Remember,
just teasing you.
look at us all. We're like, no. It's all, nothing beats free will.
Free will, you
it.
can't beat it. That's for sure. You just can't beat it. You can't beat someone over the head.
No.
And you can't. And
You're going to be resistant.
yes,
You're
the
always
horse is going to go in if it thinks
Right.
it's got it, and it's decided it's going to move.
Yeah, that's it.
You know,
Duchess, yeah.
it's interesting to get a client who is, like a lot, not all, I get some that are just ready. They're there, they know what they want. There's others that are apprehensive, and I can understand that. They've never done hypnosis or whatever, but they're still willing. And then there's others that are resistant. But what I have to remember is they made the appointment and they showed up. Right?
Yeah.
So even though they're showing me resistance, they're there because they need to or want to be there. Instead of saying, why are you here? Though I've had to say that when I get too much resistance, right? Why are you here? You're resisting. What do I need to do for you to be able to embrace a little bit of something? So that then their mind can choose and they can choose to be able to make that adjustment.
Yeah, Tim, you want to say something about that?
You talked about resistance to change.
Yeah, that's what we're
Comes
talking
in,
about.
there's something that's bothering them. And I'll be working with them. I'll explain to them, okay, you can use your subconscious mind to do this, this, and this. Well, that's not the way I do things. And I'll say, well, how's that working for you?
Right.
Now, you're not here because your life is where it needs to be. So if you're willing to make a change to improve it, you can, but it's you. It's all you.
Right. No one can do it for. There's no shortcuts. That's the whole thing. I'm learning this over and over every day. There is not really a shortcut. I don't care when it comes to life. There's not.
Well, I have to slightly. It's a slight perception change here. Is that it is the decision is made by the client. Okay, I'm going to allow whatever is going to happen. I'm just going to let it be, and that way they're just going forward. But if every client is going to have resistance on some level somewhere, and it's our job to help them through all of their resistances, right? Isn't that what we do in the end? So from the extreme client who won't change anything, says, I don't do it this way. Well, that's like Tim says, how does that working for you? But from that point is getting that person moved into a space where they're going to allow a little bit, and then they feel a little safer, and they're going to allow a little more.
I think it goes back to that word unknown again.
Yeah,
Resistance
the
of the unknown.
And this is what I say, that the mind is the ultimate unknown frontier. That's the only place we really we're very low, what would be the right word?
Low knowledge?
Low knowledge about what the mind does. We don't, even the brain, and I mean the brain to me is not the mind, it's inclusive of the brain. The brain has only been known about for maybe 10, 15 years. And it's still an ultimate secret to most of us, right? So people tend to think of themselves as a person that's here, sitting there, this is me, and I don't want you mucking with me. We're not mucking with them. The idea is that they're allowing their perceptions to shift to make life easier. That's it. Really.
The word that keeps coming up as you're saying that in my head in myself is feelings.
Yeah.
And so many clients avoid feelings. They think about a lot of things, but where do you actually experience?
And from my point of view, if they can't have feelings, it means they've shut them down. right?
So-
Because feelings, when you're a little kid, you have feelings, you're rambunctious, you have a good time, you're crying, you're doing whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then as you grow and you find out, oh, it's too painful, I'm going to shut this down, I'm going to shut this down, I'm going to shut this down. The trouble is when you shut that down, you can't have the good stuff either.
Right.
You also shut down the imagination.
Yeah.
I think the child, their imagination's unlimited. They can see all these possibilities, but they do end up getting shut down because they're they're protecting themselves.
Yeah.
You know, when I was loud in front of my parents' friends, they told me to be quiet, and I realized, and that just those little niggling things end up building up and create enormous barriers when they started out as so small.
I just had a great imagination. You as a little boy being loud, I can totally get it.
Oh,
And I sit here and I go, his parents, they were just protecting themselves, and their image had nothing to do with Tim.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of forgiveness in whatever we're carrying with us that has to do with our past.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that's actually what I did with. I've written a book about how parents can raise their children to be more resilient and be happier. It's important to create boundaries and barriers for your children, but it's also important for them to understand why they are there and how they've been created to allow them to be safer and happier. When that's understood, the negativity of creating those boundaries and enforcing them disappears. And if the consequences are also, we talked about the undiscovered country, Shakespeare, Hamlet, and all that, the unknown. This is the thing. If a child knows that if they have something, they do something negative, there will be a consequence. They know what the consequence is. They do the bad thing, they come in, they understand what the consequence is. There's no need for the emotions to get involved. There's nothing else. I did this wrong. I'm going to get a consequence, and it'll teach me something. Okay, the negativity disappears, and a lot of their creativity and imagination can still remain in place.
I don't have
We're
kids.
good. Yeah. He
I said,
doesn't
I don't
have kids.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't
No.
either, that I know of.
You had a lot of kids in your school system, but my daughter is, I look at them and I look at how they brought up their kids. They're now 7, and that has changed enormously from my day and before. From my mother's way of teaching me and my father, it was shut up and be quiet, don't make a peep, don't ask, just be quiet. If you had guests or anything, it was very old style parenting. So
Yeah.
I move forward and I see my kids doing even better,
Yeah.
So it's cool. I really appreciate it. And they, people say today, some older people will say, well, there's no discipline, but there is. They do discipline their kids. It's just not in the way that we would have thought of how to do that in the past.
Right.
Now I have a pool, and I have neighborhood kids that come swim every summer. And one of them would get on the cleaner pipe, and stuff, and it would remove it. And I say, you need to put it back and stuff. And he'd say, okay, I said, and then he'd do it again. I said, if you do that again, you're going to have to be out for a little while. And then I said, but wait a minute, that Rubik's Cube, because he's good at Rubik's Cube. That Rubik's Cube that I go over to your house and you never want me to touch because you have it set a certain way and you're going to finish it? That's my Rubik's Cube that you keep pulling out and doing stuff with. So if you don't want me to touch your Rubik's Cube, you can. He got the concept of his Rubik's Cube and my cleaner to where then he would make sure it was all okay before he left. I don't know if that.
Oh, that's a good.
No, that's totally the concept.
Instead of saying you're kicked out for 2 weeks because you touched it again.
Okay, so from here.
That would be my parents.
But I was going to say, going back to where we work with adults and things, but it's really the same. We're working with the child within at the same time. So it's always that understanding of knowing what that client, not for me to know what it needs, what the inner knowing from themselves is what they need, and giving it to them in a concept that they can understand. And the concept is usually created by them for self-understanding.
It has to be.
Yeah. So it's convoluted, but it is. I think it's very important.
Well, we never have a client who comes in. I never have. It comes in and says, "Yes, this problem happened a week ago. Can we deal with it?" it's always something that happened long before that. I talk about it being a road, and there was some ditch that was put into the road, and things have gone to it and expanded it and made it a large problem. So we are dealing with the child, and from, as Jerry used to say, the initial sensitizing event, and dealing with all those things. So we can fill it in, and they can move toward a smoother, easier life. But it's the foundation.
Most times, not all times, but most times, people don't know what the start of their problem is.
Exactly, yeah.
Most times they don't. They just happen. But it might have started at a certain time.
Right.
Consciously, they consciously remember something, but it still could have been way before.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So, but luckily that subconscious has a data bank of just everything.
Chat isn't working.
What isn't working?
I can't chat. I can't type. Go ahead. On your lead.
We'll go. Yeah. Well, hello everybody, and we're here back at Hypnosis Everywhere, and we're just going to continue. And now we only have about 13 minutes left of the show or so, so we're going to go a little bit into the Simpson protocol level, since we're all SP trainers and we're all different, and we do this. And I just wanted to put in this thing about. Greg had said that many people are specializing, and I agree with that, they do. But with Simpson protocol, I tend to be a generalist, and anything that walks through the door I can address it with Simpson protocol. So there's all different types of things, but with the Simpson protocol, we've already incorporated all kinds of different styles of hypnosis in the protocol. So we do everything from parts therapy to any kind of thing that inside that spectrum. And we have, as trainers and as practitioners, we have a choice on what to do and how to use that canvas for this particular client, right? So that's why it always surprises me when people say to me as a hypnotist, how people go to the hypnotist and say, am I going to cluck like a chicken? All those misconceptions, all those silly misconceptions. But students will say to me, do you really use this all the time? I'll go, yes, it works for everything. So why would I not I call myself the lazy hypnotist, and it's a joke, but it's also true. It means it's the easiest thing for me to do, and it's to get the best outcomes I can get. So why would I work with anything else? And it doesn't mean I don't learn other stuff. I do, but it's an incorporation of what I learn that goes onto my canvas. So all three of us here will do it slightly differently. True?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Greg and I were talking actually Greg, by the way, you got to listen to Greg's podcasts. They're incredible. I really enjoy them. And he honored me by allowing me to be in one of his podcasts. And we talked about one particular section of the protocol that we did entirely differently. But it worked best for him to do it the way he did, and it worked best for me to do it the way I did. And when that happens, your client is going to be more receptive to it. So, yeah.
Well, I think with the Simpson protocol, because we're talking about variety and uniqueness of clients, within the protocol, the canvas, so to speak, like Inez is saying, none of us are restricted to paint red here, blue there, gray there. We have the complete palette of colors to put the colors or work with what we need to with each unique person in what not only comes up with them, but what comes up with ourselves and with our intuition and knowing what needs to be done, whether it's collective consciousness or however someone wants to call it. That we get to be free to work with their unique person.
Yeah. And I like you said unique. I agree with that, Greg. The thing is, the client is actually supplying you with the palette. And you're giving them the tools to paint their picture. And we don't have to, use our own individual palettes of colors.
Right.
The client is the one who got themselves who created the issue or allowed the issue to be created. That's true. They also can change it for themselves. And we're giving we're allowing them to feel empowered to do just that.
Yeah, it's interesting. And there's the odd person, I don't mean that they're odd, and there's a unique person sometimes that is not ready to allow you what they because their perception is still that you're going to be in charge. You're going to tell them what to do. You're going to do this. And with Simpson, all that stuff. And then what we call resistance is that they're afraid, they're not trusting, they're not, and without that, we have no power, and we don't have any power anyway. What we do is show them the power they have. But there's going to be that certain one or two people that are not easy to budge, even when they walk through the door. But sometimes you move them small increments, but for them they're huge increments.
Right.
You know,
I mean, all these things that are misconceptions about hypnosis. Can you imagine if they were true? If they were, you think we'd all just be sitting here talking on the radio and stuff? The lotto would be coming in my lap. I'd be in a I wouldn't have to work. I mean, it just is not true.
Yeah.
Nothing trumps free will.
No, free will is definitely the only thing that we cannot override.
And that willingness is so important.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
When you talk about the subconscious mind protecting you against danger, real and imagined.
Yes.
It's not going to allow anybody to take control.
No. And I know because I've been in that place. I don't know about you guys, but I've been in that place of total lack of trust. And I was broken through. I think I've told this story on before by a shaman. And at that time, what came out of my mouth was so surprising to me. And I said, you are the first person I ever trusted. Yeah. Then he broke me through to allow that to happen. Now, we all have times when we're in that place. We're in times where we're not in trust. We're not in faith. We're not everywhere. And if you can find that right hypnotist, sometimes it just works. Or it could be maybe not termed as a hypnotist. Maybe they have some other moniker. But because I think of everything as hypnosis, and you know that.
Well, because that's right. Yeah. I'd say a lot of times we're not hypnotizing a client, we're
dehypnotizing them.
Right. Yeah. That hypnosis that's created where they are now.
Yeah. Beliefs and limiting beliefs is what we're always talking about, changing limiting beliefs. But the limiting beliefs have been created by our experiences. And what we've been told, what we've accepted as our programming, right? So all the time, you can change a limiting belief in the blink of an eye. I mean, when you become aware of you saying limiting beliefs, Greg, you said the same thing. I suddenly notice I'm in fear, and I know, and that's creating this whole spectrum. Right. So your beliefs can shift very easily once you become aware.
Greg touched on something earlier. He talked about self-talk, and that is so important. Yeah.
And there's we're talking about limiting beliefs and that sort of thing. And, and as you're talking about, sometimes we find ourselves in that place. I find myself in that place quite often.
Me too.
Because it's a constant elevation of ourselves to different levels of trust, different levels of confidence, different levels of, there's a part of me that here's a quick story. I'll make it very quick. I was in a class. They said, someone have a problem. We want to work on it. It was a hypnotist class. And I raised my hand. They said, what's your problem? I said, I lack confidence. And he says, put your hand down. I need a real problem. And because his perception of me is that I have confidence. Yeah. Now, inside of me, I might have a different perception. Maybe average is here and I have above average, but I know what I'm capable of, And so I want to reach what I'm capable of. So it still is a challenge for one that's not reaching their capabilities. Yeah. So it's always about the self-perception.
Yeah. So we have 4 minutes left on the show, so I'm going to butt in because I need you guys to give your websites and what's upcoming first, and then we can tie it up. But I need that information out. So Tim, you go first.
Okay.
Because you're on the top.
I have two websites, www.hypno, Hypno, consult, consult.com, and the Unleash Your Own Success, unleashyourownsuccess.com. I'm doing these are the ones that are coming up soon. February 22nd and 23rd, I'll be in Las Vegas at the Solid Gold at the MGH. Lisa Halpin, who we spoke of before, Erica Flint will be there. So there are going to be some exceptionally good speakers there. I'll also be at the Heartland Hypnosis Conference, April 24th through 26th in St. Louis. That's a great conference. Those are the things I think you'd really get a lot from.
Okay. And you also are starting to teach something for parents, or creating something. So just leave that out there, sort of in the field.
I'm also creating a class for parents for positive parenting. Some of the things we touched on today.
Okay. And so, Greg, you give us yours, please.
Okay. You can find my website, hypnosisla.com. You can see my my interview show. It's Time to Get Unstuck on the Hypno 24/7 Live Network on Facebook. You can also find me on YouTube. And I will be doing a Simpson protocol training in April in Los Angeles, mid-April. And I'll be teaching at HypnoThoughts Live 2020, which is in August. I'll be doing a pre-conference course, Connect, Create, and Calibrate, a one-day pre-conference. And I'll be teaching during the conference a 1-hour hypnosis, a discussion really. It's hypnosis and working with the LGBTQ plus community.
2 minutes.
Okay, great.
Sorry. I just want to say quickly, I'm teaching the Simpson Protocol 4-day program, 3rd week of March as well.
Okay, and I'll be teaching it in March, starting off in Parksville, but heading out to the UK and other areas. So everything, go to the website, the Simpson Protocol, and I'm sure you'll be able to find all those dates and things available. And Martin will probably hook them all up on the show, so you'll be able to go back to the show page and check everything too. So I think we've only got a couple minutes left. So I want you to say the last thing you want to say, each short and sweet, please. Go ahead, Tim.
One of my favorite quotes is from Richard Bach. You're never given a dream without the power to make it come true. Just may have to work at it. 1 minute. 1 minute.
And 1 minute, last minute there, Greg?
Mine is, fear. You got to move through it. And if you're afraid of it, it's going to keep coming. You got to look at what you want instead and move towards what you want.
Well, thank you guys. It's always fun hanging out, and it's always great for you guys to give everybody what they need. So we're off for this time, and we'll say goodbye for now. And we'll see you next time on Hypnosis Everywhere.
Thank you, Inez.
Thank you, Inez. Bye-bye. Take care, everyone.